What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex. In this video, I want to talk about the Wonder Woman game yet again. Try to let out some rage. You know, I had seen a tweet that actually been blowing up on Twitter a few days ago talking about, hey, remember that it's been, I think over 500 plus days since we've seen the Wonder Woman game. And this is truly a game I think about at least once a week, if not more, if not almost daily. And again, to let out a little bit of rage, I know I've talked about the idea of games being announced way too early. I want to bring that back up, but I want to ask the question of what is going on at that studio. Now, Monolith Studios are the ones who are making the game. I have a lot of faith in them. I believe that they are one of the better teams. At least they were one of the better teams when we had games like Shadow of Mordor and Shadow of War. Now, one thing maybe we should have learned from like a Redfall situation, no matter how mighty your team once was, if you lose 30, 40, 50, 60% of the team between games, well, suddenly you're not even talking about the same team, right? That was a classic situation with Redfall that some of the people who say made Prey an incredibly amazing game, about 70% of that team left before we got Redfall. So although you could say, oh, that was an incredible team that did it, well, the team that at the end of the day made Redfall was not even a fraction, a very small fraction of that team. So I do want to ask the question of what's going on, and I truly would say this is one of my most curious questions, I guess I would say, in the gaming industry. If there's any question that I could ask anybody and get like an actual response from, besides maybe Sly Cooper or something about like an Uncharted game, you know, this would probably be like a top 3 thing. I actually don't get it. And I've said this before, but let's bring it up here. You look back to Shadow of War, right? Middle-earth Shadow of War, and it goes back to 2017. That game came out in 2017, 6 years ago. Now, again, there's some anger I need to kind of let out for. You show Wonder Woman. We're approaching 2 years now since you last showed it. It was just a teaser. Was that teaser all you had? Right? And when it happened, I remember making videos talking about how I believe that Wonder Woman is a lot further along than people think. Well, I have a very sad feeling that I was very wrong when that happened. To me, that very much falls into the category that we've seen before. We've seen with the Star Wars Eclipses of the world. We saw with Perfect Dark. I mean, that's a really good example, I would say, as well, of kind of just showing, hey, we're working on it. If any of these industry friends, any of our industry friends want to come to work on the game with us, you're more than welcome. Look, I understand marketing. I understand that you want to kind of get the word out. And oftentimes when these games get those, announcements way too early, Kingdom Hearts 3 did it, right? There's a laundry list of games that have done it in the past. Yes, part of the reason, or a huge reason why, is you're literally trying to attract talent. You're saying, hey, we have a Star Wars game, Star Wars Eclipse. We're looking for people to make a Star Wars game. You could just say that on your website, but then, people would try to spin it or whatever would happen. So what we'll do is we'll do a CG trailer of absolutely nothing, and we'll release the game in 5-6 years after, right? And I mean, I really do hate that. I'll be flat out honest with you. As I get older, and I do think it is that. Maybe when I was a teenager, I wouldn't have cared. As I'm getting older now, I absolutely hate that mentality with the gaming industry. Don't do that. Don't. And I mean, it's not going to stop. They're not listening to me, so I'm not going to be able to stop them. But Wonder Woman obviously is a really good example of that. They announced it way too early. And now the reason I said that I thought it was further along, now this is the question, okay? If I had like one question I could get an answer from, I would say, what did you do between Shadow of War and the announcement of Wonder Woman? That would be my question. Very easy. I mean, again, I could ask about Sly Cooper 5 or Uncharted. If I had a magic genie and I could ask this, I would ask that question. I would say, 4 years. And this is what actually kind of eats at me. That's why I wanted to put in a video. For 4 years, what did you do? And part of it, I guess, is like anger, because it's like I know how talented they are. I know how good their games are. I love, and I'm not even a big Middle-earth fan, like in general, Lord of the Rings as the movies. I don't want to, have people unsubscribe, but I really could care less. But for the games, actually going back to like Lord of the Rings Conquest and stuff like that, I've always loved Lord of the Rings games. I think they're awesome. So they're a very talented team. I just want to know, did they have a canceled game? I think they had to have, right? Because Wonder Woman, 2 years ago, you announced it, but then 4 years before then, you did the Middle-earth. So in those 4 years, How long? Because you could say, all right, well, Wonder Woman or any AAA game nowadays would take about, 4, 5, 6 years. That's fine. I've seen that argument, right? I've seen people say, okay, well, where is this game? They announced it 2 years ago. And people say, well, chill out. Games take 5, 6 years to come out. Well, I know that. But if you really think about what that team has been doing, that's where it starts to fall apart. That's where I just don't understand it, because it's been 6 years. Right? It's been 6 full years since their last game has come out. So if they did start Wonder Woman right away, well, number one, I think 4 years later, you would not have done just that teaser at the Game Awards, right? So I do think it's something like they were working on something, they canceled it. They were working on Wonder Woman maybe 6 to 12 months. They announced it at the Game Awards, and then here we are now. I imagine Wonder Woman has been in the works for about 3 years max. 3 years absolutely max. So the game probably still has another 2 or 3 years left before it comes out. So, again, let a little bit of rage out, but just a genuine curiosity question. What were they doing for 4 years? Because it had to have been something that took up a lot of that time, and they had to have canceled it. Otherwise, we would have, 6 years later, we would have seen it. So that's a little venting session for you. You let me know what you think in the comments. Make sure you're subscribed, bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.